Okay, and we are live. So tonight on our little 98% podcast, we have Sarah, and she is going to talk to us about there's a little bit of drama going around. There's some controversy. I know she's already been on Jody Williams' channel. And I believe you're on Paul Italia's tomorrow night.
Yes, I am.
And so let's get right into it. I'm just gonna say my little view on it about what I don't like is that it's been very clearly made by Paul Linn that he has cleared you of any wrongdoing, and he's taken the blame himself, which that's Paul. But Engen has still made some comments towards you and has not. It seems like he's not even recognized that Paul has cleared you of any wrongdoing.
Before I get started, I just want to clear that I will be stating facts.
Yes.
I will be sticking to the facts. I'm saying similar to how Jody's show went. I don't know if those posts were directed towards me.
Right.
It was directed towards the situation in general, as things are just kind of the fire's still going.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot going back and forth, so it's all coming out in one post. I'm 100% okay with what I said. I believe in what I said. I don't regret or take back what I said because I feel it needed to be made aware and changes needed to be made. And to my knowledge, I think those changes are currently being made as we speak.
Yeah, and my take on it basically was it seemed like a lack of communication. Basically like rules weren't made I guess available to everyone, or maybe not everyone was on the same page as far as the rules, which is really, I mean, it's a mistake. It's a lack of communication, and that's not me trying to bash them. It's just somewhere there was a disconnect and it affected your situation.
Correct. And if it's the promoter, is it Engen? Is it, to me, you are the face of arm wrestling.
Yeah.
And you are building something amazing. You are building something bigger than anybody's ever done. You are putting hard work and time into it. That when, errors go wrong, information is given from the top down. And if Texas and Florida were unaware of this, we know this now. At the time,
Yeah.
we didn't. Things need to be clearer moving forward.
Yeah. And I think that's something, I think there's a lot to take away from this for every promoter, to just make sure all your ducks are in a row, because things like this can happen. And I mean, we've had situations that were weird and things like that. And all you can do is learn from it and make sure you improve before the next time, or do better. And I think they will do that. I think they learned a lesson from this time. And I don't think something like this will slip through the cracks again, I would imagine.
I agree. I know Engen's emotional right now, and there's a lot of, emotions involved in this, because I questioned his integrity. And, I had a lot of time, something I didn't get to say on Jody's show. I really had a lot of time to sit and, think with a clear head with everything. To me, anyone's integrity at any point can be questioned. Nobody is above their integrity being questioned, and nobody's above constructive criticism.
Right.
We can all do better as arm wrestlers. We can all do better as promoters. We can all do better as people overall in general. That anytime constructive criticism and feedback is given, it doesn't have to be reacted to emotionally and like I'm hating on the sport.
Yeah.
I truly was trying to make something better, as I've done nothing but support the event and work towards that event. That even my post was not disrespectful. And it was not a bash post. I've said that multiple times, but none of us are above constructive criticism, and constructive criticism is needed in any industry.
Yeah. And this is kind of a what if question. And you don't have to answer it, but do you think this will affect you from competing in East versus West in the future, as far as from that side, or do you feel like you don't want to compete in East versus West anymore? Or
Before I made that post, I had come to terms with this is not the path that I choose to take any longer. As when someone does something, like it's like shame me once, or how that saying goes, what,
yeah,
shame me once,
shame
sorry,
on me,
shame
shame me twice.
twice,
Yeah,
shame on me.
yeah, yeah,
Like, I don't want to give someone the second opportunity to do that. So for me, arm wrestling, I love it. I enjoy it. And I've been asked this, like, oh my God, Sarah, you're never going to be back on that big stage. That's everybody's dream. Well, I've been there. I've done it. It's
yeah.
not as serious to me as it
Right.
is to some other people. I
Yeah,
don't have a team. I don't go to arm wrestling practice. I do what I do in my own gym. And I luckily I made it there and I had a great time. I didn't make it there this time. There was some issues with it this go around, and
yeah,
but that's not going to be held over my head like
yeah,
you can't. I'm not going to live in fear of speaking out my thoughts, my opinions, and giving what I feel can be an improvement. Because, oh my God, I can't go back. Like, okay, I'm making my own decision to not go back, and
yeah,
that's okay. I wish nothing but the best for East versus West. I've said
yeah.
that multiple times as well.
And this is no slight at them, but for arm wrestlers, there are other stages and other paths also. It's not just like that's the only one.
Correct.
Um,
There's other goals and
yeah,
other avenues that I can choose to take
yeah,
an arm wrestler myself.
right, right. I mean, that is the prestigious one, but it's like it's not the only one. So
That's the only one.
yeah, but yeah, I didn't like that. After Paul Lynn cleared you, that there were like other comments made by Engen, and I took them as they were aimed towards you, and I know a few other people did. But what I also didn't like is all the Engen supporters that like attacked you with like insults, personal insults, all kinds of things, and I thought that was just crazy to me that people would like attack someone physically, mentally, like for something like this. I mean, it's really just a disagreement, and people are like bashing you like you killed someone.
And that's okay, because in my mind, you will never find one thing where I have spoke on Ingen's appearance.
Right.
I did see a comment on Jody's that I saw that I said something about his balls. Let me clarify that. I tagged Paul Italia, and Paul Italia's famous words are, "You have in this world, you have your word and you have your balls."
Yeah.
What I quote it, and I put it in quotes. That's
Yeah.
Paul Italia's. That's
Yeah.
his
That's
line.
it's a movie quote,
And
really.
it's a movie quote,
Yeah.
yes. And I put after that, clearly your word cannot be trusted. Like, I didn't reference, and I would never do that, right? I would never attack someone in a disagreement on their appearance,
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
they look, the way they talk, anything about them, because to me, that's when you've lost the argument.
I mean,
When
that
you
can,
have to attack someone like that, you're
yeah,
already
but
wrong.
that can only be an attack on his appearance if you've seen his balls, you know?
That's not funny, Ryan. We're
I
not, we're
know.
not doing
I
that.
know. I know. But I didn't take that as like that's an attack on Engen, like saying he has no balls. It was more you're just saying like it was really in reference to yourself, kind of, like and situations and people living by their word, not what I mean. Like you didn't mean physical balls. You meant like, hey, you have your word, and if you don't live by the word and live up to your word, like nobody's ever going to take your word seriously again in the future.
And that was, that was where I'm getting a lot of hate from all of this because of,
That's
me
so
questioning
weird. Yeah.
integrity. But this situation could have been handled a lot better
Yeah.
by Ingen himself. This situation could have been prevented had there been clear, concise rules. And I believe that is being done now from what I've been told by other people, which is great. I think a positive can come out of this. It
Yeah.
may have been a negative, but a positive can come out of it. And sometimes it takes blowups like these to implement better changes to make the sport better.
Oh
That's
yeah. Like I said before, I think this mistake will never happen again. I think
and
that,
that's a good thing,
yeah,
because I don't want anybody else to ever experience that.
like I'd imagine Paul Lynn is going to go back to the drawing board with the fellas and say, look, this happened. How can we make this never happen again? And they're probably going to say, Engen, what are the rules? Like, send them to us. Let's make sure the whole staff, James, everybody knows the rules so that, other situations don't happen in the future. But I made a comment earlier, like, to me, there's a big difference in what we see at East versus West on TV, what they're doing in Turkey, and what's happening here in the United States. And I think that a lot of that is part of, like, Engen's not here to, like, oversee it directly. Like, if I were to have a tournament thrown in, say, Texas, and I'm not there to oversee it, I don't know if the quality of my brand and the level where I want it to be is actually happening there, other than someone's word. And what I see on video or whatever.
And that's probably true. I never said that he wasn't a great promoter. He's an amazing promoter, and it is very hard to do things from where he's at and making sure that it's done. But when I am talking to promoters that tell me, Sarah, it's not our fault, it's Engen, and I've got Engen saying, no, it's the promoters. It's somebody's fault. And I am not oblivious that things and rules are made from, again, the top down.
Yeah.
So if you did not make that clear with your staff, that is on you. And as a promoter, you need to own and understand that and not make bashing posts, not take what I said out of context as me an enemy of arm wrestling or criticizing in a negative way. Yes, maybe it was constructive. Let me correct that. It was constructive criticism.
Yeah. See, I thought your original post, I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Like, people were saying it was an attack, and I'm like, that's not an attack.
No.
You're just saying your side of things and how you feel. It's an opinion, and you're stating the facts from your point of view.
That's right.
I don't see anything wrong with that. And I feel like the responses to yours were attacks.
They were, and that's okay. People can believe me. They don't have to believe me. I don't care. But we live in a world nowadays that, last year I made a great post about my experience at King of the Table. The time and that was okay to do. Like, you can write great experiences, but by God, you write a bad experience and we're going to crucify you and throw stones at you, or, whatever the phrase you want to use. So it's okay to give good feedback, but you can't handle bad feedback. Like, you can't run a business that way at all, any kind of business.
Oh, we got a super chat here. Hold on. Carolyn Looms with a $5 super chat. Great communication and clarity, Sarah. On another note, how can we explain to Engen that David Marr is the embodiment of 98 as an example, so that and then it gets cut off?
So I don't know.
Carolyn.
I appreciate the feedback, Carolyn, but I don't know that person or what's going on with that situation. I told Ryan that I will be keeping the 98% issues completely separate from mine. I appreciate him letting me come on the show. He did ask me to come and tell my story, but my issues are my issues. Ryan and 98% issues are their issues, and I choose to keep those.
I'm trying to keep it very separate, but it's weird because they're very similar situations where you gave an opinion and kind of got trashed. I had a conversation that went public and then I got trashed. It's like kind of like a I don't know. It's like I don't want to use the word habit, but it seems like that happens often.
Well, and I did state that, like, if someone's going to give you constructive criticism, you being the face of East versus West, don't always take it as hate. Yes, you're going to have some haters. Yes, you're going to have people's opinions that don't matter to you. Choose not to engage in those. Choose the comments that, hey, maybe that really is a good idea. Because to me, if there was no merit to my argument, there wouldn't be rules that are being conducted and written out as we speak. So at some point, there was I believe that he really did understand my perspective. He may have a hard time stating that out loud. He may, not want to admit that, and that's okay. I don't need anything from Engen. Okay, I don't need anything from him. I hope that it does. The rules get made and things do get better, and this never has to happen again. It shouldn't have happened, but it did, and now hopefully we see changes.
Yeah. Now, one of the questions someone asked was, you're an advocate of women's arm wrestling. Do you think this situation affects that in any way?
I don't. You know, I am my own woman. Women are their own women. And to me, I was standing up for women's arm wrestling. I myself was a woman that this happened to. And what if it had happened to another woman? Would that woman have stood up? You know, could it have been worse? Um, at the end of the day, my mindset in this, I'm going to do what I have to be heard, to have those changes made. So not just women, but men themselves don't have to go through that. And I've said that multiple times. If the women feel that it was a negative on them, well, that's their feelings, and they have a right to their opinion on it, and that's okay too.
Have you
You
had
know,
any feedback like that people think it was negative or anything like that?
Lori Cole, you know, she made a comment and I posted saying thank you. She commented on Jody's that, you know, I stood up for what I believed in, and, you know, she commended me for it. I've had a couple of private messages that I won't release that have
Yeah.
commended me for it. So far, I haven't. Uh, and if people, like I said, they can either love it or hate it. Either way, until you're in that situation, until you're going through it, you don't really know how you're going to act and how you're going to handle the situation. Could it have been better? Yes. Could it have been worse? Absolutely. But here we are now, and I'm owning it, and I'm giving my perspective. I'm giving the facts. I'm giving the context, and there's nothing more I can do about it.
Here's a comment someone just made in the thing. I hate that people keep trying to associate Sarah's issues with the band topic. Because I mean,
I
really,
completely agree.
they're not connected, really.
They're not connected, and I'm
Yeah.
not going to talk on the ban issue. I stated that on Jody's podcast. I will not engage in that topic.
Yeah.
I said my feelings on that on a different podcast prior to any of this happening. But I'm not going down that road, and I wish people would stop making the two one and the same, because they are two completely separate issues.
Yeah, and that's the only reason I put that up is
Yeah.
wanted to
Thank
make
you
that
whoever said that.
association that they're not linked in any way. So there's no point in people continuing to try to do that.
I agree.
Um, so now after this happened, like, do you go back to the drawing board and start thinking like, hey, what's next for me? What's my new path?
Absolutely. You know, I need to come to the realization that, you know, had this goal. I achieved the goal. I wanted to achieve it again. You know, it didn't work out. This happened. So now what for me? And it'll take me a little time to sit down and figure that out myself. I don't know at this time.
Yeah. And just to be clear, last year you were able to pull in the two weight classes that you qualified for, correct?
Correct.
So you had no reason to think that changed from last year to this year
And no
because
promoter was
someone would
told
have had
me.
to tell you like, hey, the rules changed or gotcha.
I said it on Jody's, and I'll say it on this one. You know, the Texas Arm Wrestling League, and I'm the director for the Texas Arm Wrestling League. We held two qualifiers, East versus West qualifiers. None of that was displayed to us, and clearly not Florida either. So all of this is that lack of communication. Once again, is how we got here and at this point. And again, I had no reason to think anything changed from last year.
So basically like if this situation would have happened at your TAL tournament, you would have let it happen because nobody told you otherwise, like, hey, you can't pull in two weight classes.
I can tell you, we in Texas, when we're running events, and
Yeah.
this isn't negative toward anything that the promoters that happened. So I want to make that very clear. But my phone is never on me. When I'm in there running the event and running
Yeah.
brackets, I don't look at my phone.
Yeah.
Billy being the president, he's the same way. We are busy, our hands are full. There's no way we would have been able to receive that call to
Yeah.
stop what was happening. Um, That's not a bash or anything towards the promoters that took the phone call. I'm just saying with what your question was, is if it would have happened in Texas, we would not have been able to answer the call
So I
to
would
make,
have, yeah.
and make that
I
adjustment.
mean,
So
my
it would
personal,
happen.
as someone who's new to promoting and stuff like that, like my personal thought on the whole thing was like, if someone had already gone through and pulled two, and there's not a whole bunch of people that are competing in two anyway, why not just let it go through and then you change the rule after the tournament and say, hey, next year, moving forward, we're not going to do this. But if one person got through, why not just I mean, it's not fair to stop it.
I agree.
You
And
know,
I,
that seemed weird to me.
his answer was he wants as many people to have an opportunity at East versus West and me to not take away from that particular weight class.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying I disagree with that. I can understand that perspective. What I don't understand is the contradictions in the actions that were done. You take Sarah Backman and Gabby, and I stated this on Jody's, and I'm going to state it again. This is nothing against them two amazing athletes. They rightfully deserve to pull wherever they want and wherever they choose to pull. But
Mm-hmm.
to get the contacts out of Ingen's point, if I was going to take away from that particular class and take away an opportunity, and that's why you didn't want me in there, then why was it that Gabby pulled left, Sarah pulled right? And they are already guaranteed a card. The qualifiers are an opportunity to get to East versus West.
Yeah.
They're already at East versus West. So all
Yeah.
you did, Ingen, was take an opportunity away from Michelle Dugan and Lisa Mosley because
Right.
they came in second. And
Yeah.
if what you're saying is really true and what you really wanted, you yourself made that not happen, not me.
Yeah. And some people pulling it, like, I'm like, hey, that dude's already been to East versus West. Why do you need to qualify again? It just seems silly to me. I don't know. You know, just a few things just seemed kind of off. But like I said, I'm sure they'll go back to the drawing board and fix that. Um, saw a comment earlier. Are arm gods and say like knuckles up? Are those options for you in the future, possibly?
100%. Knuckles up. I love what they're doing. Their promotion was good. I watched when they had the ladies match on there, their very first ever ladies match. Their production was very well.
Yeah,
It's here in the States. It's, not as far of a plane ride because I
yeah,
can tell you I never want to get on a 16-hour plane ride ever again.
I bet.
That
I
is
can't
that is
imagine.
hard.
Yeah, that's tough. But yeah, definitely knuckles up, man. You should come to one. We're going to we've been to all of them so far. It's 98 guys, but it's so cool to be like their production level is ridiculous. You know,
I
I
know
mean their
that's what
production rivals the big boys. You know what I mean? And it's cool to see a local, a smaller club like that throwing a production of that level in our area is really cool. But yeah, I think it'd be cool to see you on some cards like that and stuff. Um, and you have other things coming up,
I do.
so people will be able to see you at those tournaments and whatnot. Anything further out or no? Is that the next, like the round robin's the next thing for you?
So I have round robin as the next thing for me. After that, I don't know. I need to put a pause on things, and I've been traveling a lot
Yeah,
just this year, and I really need to put a pause and figure out what to do. Put some focus into home. My son, he's got soccer games and basketballs coming up, and so it was probably the best thing that could have happened because it was all right, Sarah. You need to take a break.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
may have
And
meant to happen. I don't know. I
thank
do want to
you.
clear up one thing. There was a comment, and I don't know who made it. Um, Something about a rematch with Nisa.
Oh,
Now,
I saw that too. Yeah,
I've said it over and over on many podcasts. I am never afraid to pull someone. I'll pull anybody. I love arm wrestling. If I get beat, I get beat. If I win, I win. So,
yeah,
but I do not want Nisa associated with this. in any way.
Right.
Like, she is her own athlete. She is Ingen's student. I'm sure she has her opinions. But she does not need to be associated with this.
Yeah.
And the situation is between Ingen and I, not Nisa and I. And he doesn't need Nisa to come in and do a rematch to fight his battles. Like,
Yeah.
she's her own athlete. She has her own goals, and we don't need to associate Nisa in that. And that's my opinion of that.
What I didn't like is that when he did that, hey, I apologize for my, whatever beating you. And it was like he's saying I apologize and then saying something condescending. I was like, why would you even do that?
And hey, I got beat on. I said it on Jody's. I got beat on live TV. People
Yeah.
know I lost to Nisa. She is trained by one of the greatest. I don't have a
Yeah.
coach and people that I train with. She rightfully won the match. Did I think I was in the match? Absolutely. Did I surprise myself? 100%. I've never been on a stage like that, so hats off to her. I have nothing bad to say about her. I
Yeah.
have no ill will towards Ingen because she beat me. People
Right.
that know me know I take my losses, I take my wins, but I'm not salty over any of that.
Yeah. And you haven't said otherwise. That's
No.
why when I read his thing and it was just like a list of stupid things, and he's just saying, I apologize for this, I apologize for this. It was like sarcasm. Like, he was just like being very condescending about everything. It was more of an attack than an apology. And I was like,
And what felt.
why? Why would you do this? Like,
Because to me,
someone at his level doesn't need to act like that.
I did state that as well. They're the one thing that really, pissed me off was he said in that same post that I asked him for a business class ticket. And that is completely false. I'm going to clear that up here too. You have a 16-hour flight, okay? And I set the flights that were just a normal ticket, and that was what was Ingen was willing to cover was 2 flights. When I got there, I had told him I chose to upgrade to business class, which, if you go look that up, it's a lot of money to upgrade. But
Yeah.
you are more comfortable for the next 16 hours. I didn't say you needed to update or you need to do it on the next time. I said I chose to do that. So I don't know what he heard. Maybe he misheard. Maybe there was another miscommunication. I don't know what it was, but I want to clear that up real quick. That how I choose to spend my money and update my flights, that's my
Yeah.
choice. It was not me saying, Ingen, you need to do it.
Right. And you know what? Shame on whoever you said that to, because obviously, like a game of telephone,
I said
by
it
the,
to Ingen in
by the
person.
time it got, you said it to Engen in person?
I said that to Ingen in person.
Oh, that's even worse. Yeah. See, I thought maybe you said it to someone else and it was like a game of telephone.
And he took those words that I talked about updating to business class and he made that post, and he knows that's completely false. Maybe in his mind that's what I said, but that's not. I would never ask a promoter to get me a first class or business trip ticket. That's just completely stupid in my eyes. That was the very first time I'd ever had a trip paid for. I don't take people's money. You take their money, you take their input, and I don't want people's input. I will pay my own way. I have no problem doing it.
Yeah.
Because then I don't have to be
For
under
example,
input.
you came up to Winter Blast, and thank you for coming up. We enjoyed having you up here.
Hey, I'm going to give you a shout out. I have told many people that you guys did the women right. You had fair weight classes, you had fair payouts, you had right and left payouts, you had custom awards. Like, those women really need to get to Winter Blast and experience the hard work that you guys have put in for women specifically. And I choose to support those promoters that implement those for the ladies, because I've been saying that since I've got into arm wrestling, since I've started promoting women.
Yeah.
The all ladies tournament. Like, I really appreciate promoters that take the time to do that. And I wish more ladies would have supported that. Hopefully they will next year, but I will be coming back to that event.
Oh, thank you. And we appreciate that. And I got to shout out Sue Fisher, because Winter Blast was her tournament for many years, and we've teamed up since, and she always advocates to have more weight classes for women, because she feels like she's been screwed, because like up here in the Northeast, it's been like 2 weight classes.
Mhm.
So she's like, if I want to pull in the Northeast, it's like she has to pull people 30 pounds heavier than her. And she was like, that's not fair. So we made sure anytime, like we do 6 winter classes, 6 or 5 or 6 weight classes for the women, so that the lighter women have weight classes, the middle weight and heavyweights have a couple classes there where they can move around. And I think it's more fair because the men have those options.
100%. 100%. And
we try to
I
do the
support
same trophies that we do for pro men's for pro women. That, everything fair. You're not getting less of a trophy. And actually, we did the payouts for women and not the men at Winter Blast, to hopefully get more women to come out. So
keep doing what you're doing, Sue Fisher. If you're watching, I've expressed my gratitude and appreciation. I will say it again. We appreciate you from the women's side of what you're doing, and we thank you very much.
Thanks. Yeah, she will. I'm sure she'll see it. But yeah, so I don't want to keep you on here too long and beat a dead horse, but is there anything that's happened since Jody's that
Oh yeah.
That you want to touch on that you didn't get to touch on Jody's channel?
Oh yeah. So on Jody's, I stated after my post I was blocked, and then Ingen continued to bash, and I take it as a bash. That's my feelings. Let's stick to facts. Ingen made a post about the bullets of my student beat you. I'm sorry. That post, right? But I couldn't respond to it.
Right.
Well, since then, there was some more miscommunication with the awards. Okay, so I was called up. I received a third place award and $100 cash. This was false. And Miss Leia out of Canada, shout out to her. She's a very amazing puller. She kicks my ass, and she rightfully deserved that. I was able to get on a podium. I had to sign for this cash, by the way. I had to sign that I was a third place winner, that my name was already there, and took a picture. Well, I was tagged in Paul Lynn's post after I'd got back yesterday. I didn't get back until Monday around 11 o'clock in the morning. And I was tagged around, I would say about 2:55 p.m. Central Standard Time. And maybe a little bit before. Immediately when I was tagged, I reached out to Paul Lynn. I said, look, I'm about to go on Jody's podcast. I don't want to throw more fuel onto the fire. I don't want this to look bad on you guys. But this needs to be rectified immediately because this is wrong. I will send her the money. I will mail her this medal. Like, you as the promoter, I'm reaching out. What do you want me to do? And it was going to get handled. We'll figure it out. And I was like, I'm about to go on this podcast. We spoke for 21 minutes. I'm like, I need to get ready. Well, by the time I get on the podcast, I received so many phone calls that got me kicked out. But during that podcast, Ingen made a post about the money situation, just the situation had already been rectified. I don't know why that had to be made. Pullers do not make the decision just to walk up and take cash, right? You have to be called up. I'm sure these promoters are well aware. Paul, he owned that. He's like, it was a mistake on our part. But it's not like I can just walk up and go take that cash.
Right.
So, I don't understand the whole purpose of that. If Ingen has run all of these events, he runs mostly super matches, but I'm sure he's run tournaments in the past. You got to call up your winners. I'm not over here paying attention, and due to the high emotions that were going on, I wanted to leave. And another individual talked me into staying. I was going to leave immediately after the situation happened. I was talked into staying and just, finishing the event. But by that point, I just wanted to get my stuff and leave and just be done with everything. So I wasn't paying attention. And I went home with $100 and a third place medal. So publicly, Leia it starts with a C. I don't want to mispronounce her name, but Leia out of Canada rightfully won that right hand third place. And congratulations to her.
Yeah, and it's been rectified. So all the guys, all the people out there hating and still making comments on it, like,
well, I woke up this morning, so I wasn't even going to make my post that I did today.
Yeah.
But yesterday, when I'd been on the podcast, I'd been up all night. I had been talking. I had been no sleep, whatever. I woke up this morning to 16 message requests. Give that woman's money. You cheat. You this. You lied. You stole. I'm like, I can't respond to all of this, and I'm not going to. I just made a public post.
Yeah.
And it wasn't in response to Ingen. It was more or less like I stated from the beginning. I wasn't even going to make the post, but I'm tired. I'm not answering all these messages. Like,
Yeah.
just stay out of my inbox. I don't have time for this.
I don't know if you noticed this, but I noticed this since my little tiff with him and your little tiff with him, that all of a sudden on the same day, tons of people decided this is the day that I am going to write a 2-page essay or a video on Engen's integrity. And I'm like, dude, there is no way that that's a coincidence. I feel like Engen turned on the bat signal and all these guys just came out. Like, I'm like, there's no way like that's your situation with him and my situation with him triggered these top level guys to wake up that morning and decide that they had to come out on their own and say how great Engen's integrity is.
And that's fine. And they probably did have a good experience.
Right.
And they have a reason to speak facts on his integrity based on their experience. But they
Right.
didn't experience what I did.
Right.
So what's wrong with what they did and what I did? How is it any different?
Yeah.
You can go on and you can speak good, but you can't go on and you question it because I had a different experience. We're not all going to experience the exact same thing from each promoter. We'll each have different experiences, and that's okay too. But what those people did and what I did isn't any different. You stated your opinion, I stated mine. And it really wasn't opinion, it was facts of what happened.
Yeah.
And I put what I said in there. So you can do it, but I can't, which people can do what they want.
The funny thing too is think of it the opposite way. Like, you've promoted some stuff. I've had some terrible experiences with pullers, but I didn't go blast them, or I didn't write an essay about my integrity as a way of attacking that person. It's just strange to me. Like if you came to Winter Blast and you were a jerk, it'd be like me messaging all my little 98% friends and saying, hey guys, can you post something about my integrity so that I can win this argument online? You know what I mean? Like, it seems so retarded to me that had to even get to that level, and that people even, I guess though, if he's, a lot of the people who posted, they have either been to East versus West or are going there, or like they're at a level where they could go there. So I guess I can't blame them. Like, if someone, if someone that's paying me was like, hey, could you post something nice about me? Maybe I would do it, but I would have looked at the situation first and made a decision morally, like, hey, I'm not getting involved in an online argument before
and
I
they
go
made that own justification on their own. I mean, we'll never know, honestly. I don't know Ingen well enough to say yes, Ingen would do that, or no, Ingen would not do that. The people that are making the posts are entitled to their opinions and how they feel about the situation, and I respect their opinions and how they feel about the situation. But I'm going to just, tell them, look, this needed to happen.
Yeah.
Many people agree, even some of the promoters themselves that have been holding qualifiers understand that there are not clear rules, and now there will be. So it's a positive thing that can make East versus West better and these qualifiers run smoother, that are designed to help those same athletes or, future athletes get to the big stage. We can always do better.
Absolutely. And those guys that did post, they've obviously had some good experiences with Engen. It just seemed odd that they all woke up on the same day and decided to make that public all at once.
I think things can get domino effects. Like, you saw one do it, let me do it. It very well.
It's possible. It just, to me, it was like damage control. You know what I mean? That's what it seemed like. But I didn't see it as any damage, really. It was just a miscommunication. You were angry. He got angry. I don't think, though, that it needed to escalate to what it did, where like him listing those apologies that were shitty. I don't think it had to come to that. And I don't think you should be blamed for the drama that everyone's saying, oh my God, this is all dramatic, because I don't think you created that drama.
I made it. I brought the drama to light.
Well, and what's wrong with that though? Because you didn't bring drama to light. You brought up a
I brought up
situation.
an issue. Yes,
Yeah.
I brought up an issue that needed to be brought to light. Because again, I will stand on this. I will stand and die on this hill alone. What happened does not need to happen to anybody else. What happened to even, Artem having, him pulling 2 classes and being told this, he got
Yeah.
to finish his, that's fine. But now things will be clear moving forward and we don't have to go down this path ever again.
Yeah, and you're entitled to your opinion, and being attacked for your opinion, or you just giving a statement on your point of view of what happened. The fact that you got attacked by so many people is really sad in our sport. And I said this in another podcast, that that's something our sport is missing, is a little bit of humanity. How do people know that maybe you weren't having a really bad time in your personal life or something, and all these attacks push you over the edge? You know what I mean? Nobody knows what anybody else is going through. So to take it to that level where you're personally being attacked, people are making comments on how you physically look, or I was like, man, why is this happening? You know what I mean?
When you can't argue, when you have no points and you have no basis to your argument, that's the next best thing to do. It's like people can say insults easier than they can compliment somebody. And I stand on my values. I don't have to talk about someone's appearance or anything about them in a disagreement to be able to make my argument clear. I don't have to. I can disagree with somebody and not have to talk about how they look. I don't care how people look, what they choose to do in their personal life. I don't. And if people want to do that to me, you just validate.
Oh, absolutely. People have made fun of me, calling me a fatty and stuff, and I take that better. I don't care if people knock me. What gets me a little irritated is when you knock 98, because we are not the same. 98 is not me. You're attacking, I feel like, my baby. You know what I mean? We built that. We want a good reputation. It's our pure thing. And when people attack that, it hurts me a lot more than when they attack me.
Same. I think that right there is a very good point. Ingen is separate from East versus West, but East versus West is his baby, and he's very protective over it. He feels he's put a lot of work into it, and he has.
Absolutely.
So yes, he gets upset when people criticize it, but sometimes there are constructive criticisms. We can have civil conversations without being heated. We can be adults about this, without screaming and yelling matches. I can come to you and tell you, what did I tell you at Winter Blast? Do you remember? Remember I come to you about at Winter Blast?
I don't know which thing, because we talked about a lot.
So I didn't know all the drama that had happened. The stage was cleared prior.
Oh,
right? Paul and Nanya match. But
the Nanya match. Yeah.
Honestly, this super match that is going on shouldn't have all these matches going on around it. I'm people are trying to get through, people are trying to talk to Nanya, Paul, whatever. You're gonna have a super match. There doesn't need to be all this motion going around, right?
Yeah.
Did you take that I was hating on Winter Blast?
Not at all. And at the time, I didn't even know all this yet, but now I know that Nanya was late. And so, we had planned on playing some music and having entrance music, and it was going to be cleared. But because Nanya was late and we had already stopped that table, then Paul came down. He was ready to go on time. And then Nanya comes in late. And so now it was like, dude, we cannot stop this tournament again. We're going to get mobbed by the fucking crowd.
But at the time, we were.
You didn't know either, right?
But did you take that I was bashing 98, or that I was
not at all? It was like
98.
It was constructive criticism, and it was a suggestion. I didn't take it bad at all. I actually agreed with you. I was like, I know. I was like, this is terrible, because you were trying to help Coach Paul and you couldn't even get close to him.
Get close. So that's what I mean by what I'm saying in all of this is we can have conversations as adults and it doesn't have to turn into a negative. It doesn't have
Yeah,
to turn into a screaming and yelling match or a heated debate. That goes back to integrity in itself. Like
yeah,
you have so much integrity. You have to be able to sit down and have these calm adult conversations without just completely blowing up and
absolutely.
going off the edge. And if you can't do that, then that's something, again, constructive criticism you can
Yeah,
work on and do better on. I think we all can. Did I get heated and do some things? Absolutely.
yeah,
I'm not being hypocritical here. But as, again, leader in arm wrestling, wanting to be the next best thing, moving it to the next level, you're gonna
yeah,
have you're gonna have more criticism than I'm ever gonna have. So little
yeah.
old me making a constructive criticism and a point, you know, if it throws you into orbit that bad, what happens when you do reach that next level and more people come at it? You can't fly off the handle every single time in the position
Right.
you're
Absolutely. And one thing that you did is you came right to me with the constructive criticism, where some people that had constructive criticism that wasn't really constructive blasted us on Facebook, and I was like, dude, you're someone that comes to all our tournaments, and I'm like, why wouldn't you just message me privately and bring up these things in the way you did so we can address them? But when you put it publicly, now other people are like, oh, you know what, I did notice that, fuck them, like it creates like a chain reaction. And I'm like, I would never do that. Like if I went to your tournament and had a problem, I would message you privately, or like you did with me, I would just say it straight to you, like, hey, you this is something you might want to think about. Or
and to
I
be
just
clear,
don't
I
get when
did
people feel the
message him
need to
privately.
black people.
I did have a conversation with, just for people that are watching so they know, I
Yeah.
did attempt to do this privately and I
Hmm.
was ignored. Somebody else asked me on Jody's, how long did I wait before I made my post online? Um, and I looked at it. God, I should have wrote it down. So I don't remember what time I made the post. I'm going to say 9 p.m. Well,
Yeah.
the message that was sent to Ingen about everything was about 6 hours, maybe seven before that. I was in a different, like I was an hour ahead. So I don't really know how that looks on my phone through like WhatsApp and everything, but you'll say 6, 7 hours. He initially read it immediately and started typing and then stopped typing. So he was going to say something,
Yeah.
but opted not to. But he definitely read it. It shows in WhatsApp when you read it. And then I made my post.
Yeah.
So there was an opportunity for him to respond so we could have a conversation, and he chose not to. And I'm not somebody that you can tell me it's my event. I'm going to do it what I want.
Yeah.
I need clear understanding for what I'm going to do moving forward if I want to continue pursuing the goal with East versus West or not. And to
Right.
me, you saying it's my event, I'm going to do it how I want. Well, what's going to happen next time? How do I know this won't happen again or something way worse that happens again?
Yeah.
If you're not willing to even have a conversation and discuss it. So the only way I got any answers was by making that post. And then people started, yes, attacking me, but I started getting some clearer answers and then changes started being made. So things
Yeah.
make sense now, but in the moment, they did not make any sense.
Yeah. And I understand that, because like I also tried to reach out to Engen to have a private conversation after we had like a public one. And all that did was give him fuel, because he released it. Our private conversation, he started posting it. And I'm like, I would never do that to someone. But now I learned a lesson. I would never have a private conversation with them again.
If he wants to do
You know?
that, it's whatever the case may have been. There's a lot going around right now with the heated debates, and I think he is taking it personally due to the way he is how much time he has put into this, and I can
Yeah.
respect and understand that.
Yeah.
Um, but you can't go and do this to everybody and expect people to still want to support. Like, you're
Yeah.
going to do this to enough people and you think it's helping, you think it's hurting, but a lot of these people buy the pay-per-views, and other people see this, and he has a great reputation. Like, don't ruin your reputation doing that. Like, keep
Yeah.
pushing forward and keep making arm wrestling successful. I commend him for what he is doing. I just wish he could handle things better than blowing up and getting upset. And
I agree, because honestly, like, something me and you have in common, probably, and other arm wrestlers, is we're the ones that are buying these pay-per-views and supporting events and going to tournaments and promoting things we like. So he might have just lost two people that might not get another pay-per-view, or when you act like that, there are consequences. And other people seeing these public blow-ups, some people don't care about it, and there are other people that might say, hey, now I'm not gonna get a pay-per-view again because of the way he's acting. And I think that's something he needs to think about. Like, you don't want to start insulting the people that support what you're doing,
and I still haven't said one bad thing about him.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to.
Right.
I said I would stick with the facts. I'm sure people say plenty of bad things about him, and he's probably, tired of it. I'm sure he gets, like I said, a lot more criticism and messages and posts than I do.
Yeah. Well, like, for example, you're obviously taking the mature route on this, where I'm making like memes of people protesting, saying, no Engen, or stuff like that. But we 98 guys, we deal with turmoil with humor. Like, that's just how we deal with stuff. So I could see that, he's probably extra irritated with us for the way we handle things, but I think you're handling it properly, and you never insulted him. Your original post was not insulting whatsoever. I read it many times over, and I thought it was like a professional, constructive criticism, where you were just telling your side of the story. And I think that for some reason it put him into a frenzy of attacking you, and that's his choice. Like, if someone calls me a name, it's my choice on how I react to that. It's not like you're making me react badly. If I react badly, I made the choice to react badly. I can take the other road. And I think, he's known for having a bit of a temper. And I think when he reads that stuff, he's always going to take that road of attack. You know what I mean?
And he can continue posting. He can continue doing whatever he wants to do. People can continue commenting and attacking me. You either believe me or you don't. You either support me or you don't. I'm not going to lose sleep either way over it. I care about this sport. I care about the situation that happened. I care about the promoters that were running the event. I've known some of them for a very long time.
Yeah.
And that was my take on it, that it needed to be brought to light more so from the top down, can handle things better. Just like you said, it's run this way in Turkey and other events. Maybe it's because he's not overseeing it. But again, now there's going to be changes, and hopefully these qualifiers will be run a lot better now. I think his eyes are open, whether he wants to admit it or not.
And, quick shout out to Paul Linn, because I think his way of taking the blame is to just make this whole thing go away and quiet it down and try to stomp out the flames. You know what I mean? And, it's possible that he had nothing to do with any of it, but, I think that's big on him to just say, hey, I'll take responsibility. Like, it's definitely our side's fault, but he's personally taken that responsibility to just, end you being attacked and Engen making comments. Just for some reason, Engen hasn't stopped yet. Hopefully he will, though, after all these podcasts you're going on. Like, he's going to see Jody's this one, and then you're on with Paul tomorrow. Like,
and I'm going on with Can-Am Arm Wrestling on Friday.
Oh, and I'm going on with Craig Soublier on Sunday. But, I'm just hoping that Engen does look at these and realize, like, we're not bashing him. You know what I mean? Like, we're just trying to say, hey, man, these attacks, like, you just calm down a little, or before you comment online, like, take a deep breath and really think about what you're posting. I don't know. I mean, who am I to give him advice anyway? You know what I mean? I feel like I'm way down here and 98 and he's up here. Like he shouldn't even be looking down at us, you know? Like who cares what we say?
Well, that's his own, what, for whatever reason, that's
Yeah.
again, that's between you two.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I like I say, I you compare yourselves here maybe in arm wrestling, but to me nobody's better than anybody. You know, we are the same. You know, maybe he has that same mindset. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors and, you know, what goes on in that man's personal life. You know,
Right.
just that
Yeah.
we don't people are going through
Again, you don't
personal,
know what yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I'm
That's
not,
why I hate the personal attacks because it's like, man, someone could be having a bad day that day and you just pushed them over the edge and they go do something crazy or, you know, or go into a deep depression over it. Like it's unnecessary. This is just arm wrestling at the end of the day. It's a hobby. And for some people, it's a serious sport, but it's like, it's just arm wrestling, you know? It's just a sport. It's supposed to be like an activity, you know? It's not supposed to be taken so serious to have all this crazy drama and feuds and you know, we're in some feuds and I think they're stupid and I would love to squash them, but you know, sometimes it takes time to like step away from things and then get over it and then step back in and but you probably feel the same way.
kept it
There's
professional.
no bridges burned for us with anybody um that can't be fixed. You know what I mean? If someone wanted to have a real conversation and fix a situation, um I feel like most people are open to doing that in life to a point.
I agree. I mean, you know, I was asked if this situation can be rectified. You know, someone had asked me, what do I want from Ingen? Or, you know, there's nothing that I want.
Yeah.
I will not delete my post, and it's not, you know, because I want to keep the drama going. But to me, if I go and delete that post, I'm deleting and, you know, saying that I'm wrong, and I don't feel that I was wrong. I stuck to the facts of what happened, and there's no reason for me to lie. And I'm not going to delete the facts of a situation. Now, who to blame is in question. You know, I'm blaming the wrong person. But when you're standing there and you have promoters saying this is Ingen's call, and you know, I have a conversation with Ingen and it goes the way that it does. Again, there's no facts on that, so I'm not going to speak on that. But that call did take place during when I was pulled off stage. So I did blame the person that it happened to right then, and then find out later that, hey, it was just miscommunication. But again, Ingen, that was your fault for not letting the promoters know, for
Yeah.
not providing the correct information, so they could conduct the tournament correctly. So I'm not going to delete that post because those are the facts. And I believe in telling the truth and standing here. And I'm just how I feel about it. I'm not going to say that I'm wrong.
Well, I'll say this. Hopefully people stop attacking you, especially Engin. Hopefully we get to see what you're doing next. I know you got the round robin coming up. I know you're gonna take a step back to make some decisions on what your next path is. And hopefully we'll see you up at Knuckles Up or Arm Gods or Winter Blast again. You know,
Hey,
and
it's
good luck
fun.
with everything.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We'll see what happens. I mean, you never know with me. I can, you never know.
Well, hopefully, you know, obviously, you know, we're happy that you agreed to come on our podcast because that could have been controversial in itself. But
I'm
um,
okay. You know, you guys respect me. You've never done anything bad to me. Just because someone else has an issue with you guys doesn't mean I have an issue with you guys. And
yeah,
I give everybody that same benefit of the doubt. I don't take what
dude,
other people think of you and
yeah.
develop my opinion that way. Like, I get to know
See, I
people.
wish everyone had that way of thinking because you know a lot of people just like I don't want to say become sheep, but you know, like if someone says something like, "Oh, fuck that guy," and they're like, then all of a sudden they have that opinion and they've never even met that person.
Until you've done something directly to affect me, I give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and what other people say about you goes
Yeah.
in one ear and out the other, and that's everybody in general. I base things on my personal experiences with people, and until I'm done wrong, I have no reason to not associate myself with you guys. Are we always going to agree, Ryan? Maybe not. We haven't
Yeah.
had many interactions,
I
but not
might
everybody.
make fun of you as soon as you get off here.
You what?
I said I might make fun of you as soon as you get off here.
You very well could. But not everybody's supposed to agree all the time. That's just
Yeah,
not how the world's supposed to be.
absolutely. It makes it fun to have difference of opinions and stuff like that. I just wish people would make the opinion from their own experiences. Uh, you know. But good luck tomorrow night on Paul's podcast, and everybody should definitely go tune into that to see how that goes, because who knows what's going to happen between now and then.
A lot can happen in 24 hours, guys.
Yeah.
Believe me, I found that out yesterday.
Because when I first heard that you were going to be on all three of our podcasts in a row like that, I was like, they're all going to be exactly the same.
No,
But
they're
then,
not.
fuck no, dude. Like the amount of shit that has happened in 24 hours, I'm like, man, I got so much more to talk about than even Jody did, because all this shit has happened. So, but yeah, thank you very much for coming on and giving us your time.
Absolutely. I appreciate you very much. And I look forward to seeing you at Winter Blast, Ryan.
Hey, we look forward to seeing you too. And I'll let Sue know if she didn't watch this, the nice things you said.
Yep. It's amazing. So, look forward to seeing her again.
All right. See you later.
See you later. Bye.
Bye. Well, guys, that was that. What did you guys think? I thought that went pretty good. Shout out to Sarah for even coming on the 98 podcast, because you could be judged just for fucking associating with us. And I want to say this. That was the most difficult hour for me not to mention Engen's eyebrows. I'll leave it at that. But it was very hard not to bring up his eyebrows in that interview. But out of respect for Sarah, I did not want to talk about his eyebrows during her interview. Anyway, yeah. I guess I'll end this live stream unless anybody wants to come on and give some of their opinions on the podcast or anything like that. But thank you, Johnny. It was very difficult to restrain. You guys know me. It's very hard for me to restrain myself from saying ridiculous things. That'd be very lowbrow of you, Schubert says. But yeah, Engen, if you're watching this, dude, stop insulting Sarah. 98 doesn't really have a problem with you. It's more your attack on us that we had a problem with. So, fucking just get over it, dude. You're up here. You're at the top of the mountain. Like, why don't you just keep looking up for the next peak? You don't have to look down at us guys down here doing our own thing. East versus West is the biggest thing going right now. So I feel like you're lowering yourself to a lower level when you argue with guys like me or attack Sarah. Like, it's unnecessary, man. It is what it is, man. I'm going to post a link if anybody wants to come on for a few minutes. Feel free. If anyone has some comments on the podcast or what just went down with Sarah, hop on and say hello for a minute. I'll probably stay on for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to hop off. Maybe like another half hour. Nanya will never be on here again. Fuck that guy. Same with Eric Harlan. Fuck that guy, dude. He's harassing people. But yeah. Nobody has anything constructive to add. That's just great. If you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. Yeah, I'm liking these new little FTG and the little arms and stuff I'm seeing on YouTube. Pretty cool, Johnny. Well, anyway, does anybody have any questions you would like to ask before I get off here? Oh, it's all Paul. Well, no, Nanya came on here and kind of was rude to Dave Shell, and Dave Shell's the one who loaned him money to even have the Paul Italia match, and we thought that was pretty shitty of him. And then he went on Harlan's YouTube channel and started bashing 98 and me and stuff. So we just decided not to have him on here anymore. What is the MAC table? You'll have to ask Ian Carnegie or JJ about that. Where's Andrew Wood? I don't know, man. I thought he would have came out of the woodwork by now. Anything going on for 98 coming up? Absolutely. We have the Battle of Antietam next Saturday. This Saturday coming up, actually. So please go to the Battle of Antietam if you're in the area and you have nothing to do Saturday. Come check it out. And should be good. We have these little cannons that were made for trophies. I think that's going to be really neat. Just trying to do something different rather than the same old metal. Some people may like them, some people may not, but we can't please everyone. But we're trying new things. But it's a cool location. It's at Antietam Brewery, and they have great, any beer you could want there. They have great food. It's a cool area to hang out in. Hopefully we have good weather that day. It looks like we're going to. But yeah, we'll be setting up there. And then we're planning the Sean Latimer New Jersey State Championships. We're going to have a date for that soon and a location. So definitely come out and support Sean Latimer. He's recovering from going through a tough time. So it'd be cool to see some people come out and support Sean and check that out. Then we have with Sean Hancock in Atlantic City on the 18th. Come check that out. That'll be really cool. We got a lot of cool things coming up. So it will be neat to see what we got. We'll have a few more tournaments this year. We have some things planned for the fall. We're going to have a lot more YouTube content thanks to our production team led by buddy Johnny Miller here. We'll be doing more shorter clips like our long FTG Friday. We'll be cutting the shorter clips so that some of the good points don't get lost in an 8-hour podcast. So we'll be having that. We'll be doing some more things out on the street with arm wrestling, doing some good things for some good people or people in need. We'll be doing some stuff like that. We're planning another super match series like we did last year, where we'll do some super matches and just have an event just for that with some cool trophies. But yeah, lots of stuff with 98 coming. We finally got a 98 trailer, covered enclosed trailer, and we're going to be tagging that up with all kinds of 98 stuff and possibly some sponsors so that we can easily bring all our equipment to each tournament and set up quicker. And that is actually motivating us to throw more tournaments because it'll be a lot easier than trying to drag stuff there in multiple vehicles. So yeah, can we get a 98 trailer park going? Dave Shubich, for you, anything's possible. We are working towards our 98 headquarters, the 98 HQ, where we'll be able to throw tournaments there, rent it out for other tournaments, things like that. Good time to remind the ladies listening that we have a 98 female group. Yes, that is true right there. We do have a 98 female group if you are watching, and please join it. We have a Facebook group for every single state in the country. Shout out to Todd Threet from TAL, who helped do all the backgrounds for those. But yeah, join those groups and add people from your state And if you want to be an admin, we will add you as an admin so you can help us add people to each state, because the goal of that is, as I've explained before, say you live in New Hampshire and you want to throw a tournament, you can post your flyer in New Hampshire Facebook, and then also hit like Vermont, Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut, all the surrounding states, so that you can target an area rather than, say, putting your poster in a arm wrestling discussion and you have no idea who saw it, no idea who's putting eyes on it, or even who lives, you don't know who in there lives in that area. So it's kind of a waste to throw it in those really big groups. These are going to be more for targeting your area. So it really, this whole thing is a tool for promoters and arm wrestlers also to list practices. So when people are asking like, hey, I live here, what's the closest practice, we can refer them to join that state's Facebook group and link with people that live in that state, so they can ask questions to people that will know more so than we will. Also, Dave Shell will be collecting from those different groups. If you post your flyer or your event and you send it to Dave, he can put it on our list so that we can promote it and talk about it. Also, practices. We want to do a full list of practices and teams. So if you have a team that has a practice, please reach out and let us know. Dave Shell will put you on one of his Excel spreadsheets that he's famous for, and we will promote it. And if anybody asks, we will refer people to you, and that's our way of trying to grow the sport. Another way that 98 is trying to grow the sport is we are in talks with the Boy Scouts of America, trying to get them to add an arm wrestling badge to their lineup. And because it's, like schools find it like a liability to have it there because of arm breaks and stuff. So other ways that we're talking with the Boy Scouts are like they attend a practice to get a badge, or so many practices, possibly go to a tournament and compete in the kids division, or maybe as a group, they build an arm wrestling table and donate it to a local team that needs an extra table to help them also grow their team and their practice and all that stuff. So if we can pull that off, I think that is going to be a huge step for 98 and arm wrestling in general, to get some kids into the sport early and expose them to arm wrestling. And maybe maybe they'll only arm wrestle once, but they might remember it, and 10 years later maybe they'll be looking for a practice to come do it. Just like when I was a kid and saw Over the Top, I loved arm wrestling, but I didn't actually get into it till much later. So hopefully we can do that for a bunch of kids in the whole country through the Boy Scouts of America. Yeah, that's all we got going on, really. 98's growing, so we have an application for our street team. So if you would like that link has been put out, and or you can contact Johnny Miller and he can send it to you, or one of us other 98 percenters can send it to you. We're trying to grow our 98 committee and our staff. We are coming out with 98 productions, which we're going to have package deals. So say you're throwing a tournament, or you want to throw a tournament, but you don't have the staff. You can come to us in our 98 production side of 98 and say, hey, I need 2 refs, a brackets guy, and I want it live streamed. And we'll have a package price for that. Or, you can say, I need 1 ref or 2 refs, or I need 1 brackets guy, or I need 2, 3 of this, like combinations. So you'll be able to, or you may already have a few refs, but you need more, or you may already have a brackets person, but you need an extra one. So we're going to have kind of like a price list or some packages for different scenarios, so that if you want to throw a tournament and you don't have the staff, you can hire our staff and they will help you run it. And, just something we want to offer people, probably locally to start. We're not ready to start traveling all over the country, but our refs are certified and in the process of being certified. So you're going to get refs that have been taught personally by Sean Hancock to get certified in reffing. And you will have guys that are proficient in the Corey Miller software, the flash bracket system, so that we can always submit all of these tournaments straight to Corey in a timely fashion, because as we all know, Corey will text you before you're even done the tournament asking for the brackets. And I joked the other day that now we send the brackets completed to him 3 days in advance. That way, by the time we're done the tournament, he already has them. But yeah, that's impossible. So anyway, since no one jumped on, I'm going to end this. But to answer the question, that's what 98 has going on right now. So yeah, make sure you guys go fill out the street team. Make sure you guys like, and make sure you guys comment. Help us get our 98 pages active. So go add people, join your state, go add people from that state. But yeah, that's about it. Because I just spoke, about some normal things for a while. I'm just gonna say, Engen, trim those eyebrows, buddy. Maybe you won't be so angry if you're not always, your eyeballs are always in the shade. If they get a little sun, possibly that will put you in a good mood. A little vitamin D on the eyeballs. When's the last time your eyeballs got some sunshine? How long's it been? I'd be angry too, man. Fucking get those corneas in the sun. Get that retina some sunlight and suck in some vitamin D, and the eyeballs will go straight to the brain. Like, fucking just trim them a little. God damn. Anyway, peace.